Alright, at this point we have covered an insane amount of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom myths. I mean, I have done over 10 videos covering this stuff, so as you can imagine, I have looked into a lot of myths. And recently, when I released my 10th video, I saw a comment from a viewer that suggested something fun. This person gave me the idea to make this video. I mean, there are so many myths, so why not make a list of best myths that are actually true? So many of these are loads of fun or incredibly useful when playing the game. And so I decided to do it. And now that you know that, I think it's about time to jump right into this video. Number 10. Now, when Tears of the Kingdom came out, we saw that a lot of things were possible in this game. I mean, in Breath of the Wild, we could do some weird things that could potentially break the game. But man oh man, in this new Zelda game, Nintendo allowed us to do so much more. And one that is super useful is the bomb shield. Now, in the Zelda cartoons, we saw Link use a bomb and his shield to jump into the air. And while this was cool, none of us ever expected to see this in a game. However, in Tears of the Kingdom, it is actually a thing, surprisingly enough. If you fuse a bomb to your shield, you can use it to get launched into the air if you shield surf. This can be handy in a lot of situations, especially in combat when you want to flee. All you do is shield surf, and then you will blow up all the enemies while you can escape, which is pretty handy as you can imagine. And this isn't the only thing you can do with it. So yeah, this claim was true, and also really useful. Number 9. Getting around in the world can be a bit tough. The terrain and climate can really challenge you. So anything that can help you is worth its weight in gold. And due to this, people have experimented a lot with new ways of making traveling easier. One of those tests involved fusing things to your shield to see if it would improve your shield surfing ability. And in the beginning, ice was a popular object to use. It's slippery after all, and so when you shield surf, you will go faster and a lot further. But it isn't perfect. A sheet of ice will melt pretty quickly, and so it becomes a bit annoying to deal with as well. So is there a better option? Well, yes. For some weird reason, frozen meat works a lot better. They don't melt away like an ice sheet does. But it is important to go for a big piece of meat. Something like a drumstick just won't work. But if you keep this in mind, it will be a lifesaver, which is why I included it on this list. Number 8. Now, I know a lot of people with an insane work ethic. They will do anything to finish their work and dedicate their life to it. And in Tears of the Kingdom, there's a character who's also a borderline workaholic, Addison. This guy has to put up loads of signs across the world of Hyrule to let people know about the company that he works for. But for some reason, he wasn't really prepared for the job, because each time we see him, he's holding the sign up and he has no way of securing it. And so Link has to help him each time, which can be a lot of fun. I find solving these little puzzles a lot of fun at least. But as you can imagine, a lot of people have also come up with ways to make this easier. And while many of these don't work too well, there's one that stands out because it's so incredibly effective. Using a hover stone to keep the sign up works in a lot of instances. And so it's one of the best things I covered in my myth-busting videos. I almost always use it to solve these puzzles now. So as you can imagine, I had to put it in. Number 7. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, explosives can be incredibly useful in the game, and not just for getting higher up into the sky, because in combat they can also be great. Now sure, throwing a bomb flower in the middle of a bokoblin group is effective, but to be honest, there are better ways out there, and one of those, surprisingly enough, is the Zonei cannon, and I'm not talking about the projectiles that it shoots, because if you attach it to an arrow and shoot it, the entire thing will actually explode, and it creates a massive fireball. Now, I didn't expect this when I first tried it, but I guess it makes sense. And I gotta say, in a combat scenario, this could destroy an entire group. So next time you want to blow up a bunch of bokoblins, just grab one of these, because it's highly effective. Number 6. So far we've covered a lot of stuff that is very useful in-game, but sometimes it is also fun to talk about things that are useless but fun. And the next one is exactly like that. And originally when I covered it in a video, it took a while to record this one as well. Someone said that grabbing a snowball with Ultrahand and rubbing it on snow would make it grow, and this was true. Now sure, you can't do anything with this that would be worth your time, but it is fun to do, and I guess you can roll it off a hill towards enemies, which could be a fun little prank, because I mean, it's not like it would kill them. Number 5. Now when it comes to this next myth, I'm not sure if it's still possible. Nintendo does update the game after all, and with each one, more and more bugs get fixed. But if it's still in the game, then it's something that is 100% worth doing. Especially when you will fight something that's big and strong. Because in the game you can actually use both two-handed weapons and a shield at the same time, due to a small bug in the game. All you need to do is keep your shield in front of you while there's a two-handed weapon on the floor, and at that point you just spam the attack button as well as the pick up button. Now if you do this correctly, Link will pick up the weapon and he will keep the shield out as well. And so you have a shield and two-handed weapon at the same time. This can be amazing for combat, and pulling off this trick is also incredibly easy. Anyone could do it. So next time you boot up the game, be sure to do this trick before going into battle, because with it you have the best of both worlds. A weapon that does really high damage and a shield to defend yourself. Number 4. Now I think we can all agree that Zonei devices are incredibly handy. They can be used for so many things, it's insane. And luckily enough, Nintendo programmed the game in such a way that a lot is possible with these Zonei devices. They know we like realism and depth in a game, and so a lot of things you can think of are possible. And one trick that was a myth at first that blew my mind involves a hoverstone and a bow. When you explore the Sky Islands, you sometimes have to fly quite far before you can reach the next one, and so usually people will make a flying machine to get around the place. But there's also another option. Just use the paraglider, and each time you run out of stamina, shoot an arrow with a hoverstone on it below you. Because when you do this, it will deploy a platform for you to rest on, which is just amazing. Personally, I use this all the time, even when fighting bosses like Gleeox. So if you have never done this, you should give it a shot. Number 3. One thing I liked about doing so many myth-busting videos is that a lot of you come up with amazing suggestions. Sure, sometimes they don't work, but hey, you can't always win. However, a lot of them do work, and one of my favorites by far involves the Eightfold long blade, a weapon that was super cool in Breath of the Wild, but now in Tears of the Kingdom, it's even better, because you can fuse things to it, and this gives the air slash new abilities that can be useful in a pinch. For example, if you add an elemental weapon part to it, then the slash will have an ice, fire, or electrical power, which is super cool. I never expected that this would be a thing in the game, but it is, and I love it, because this way you will get an improved weapon that can even hit enemies from afar. So if you have never tried this, give it a shot. Number 2. In basically every Zelda game, music is incredibly important. Just think about the older titles for a second. In titles like Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, and so many others, music is used to complement a certain setting, or it's even used in the main story to progress. Really, Zelda and music are a classic combination. But in the more recent games, Nintendo has kind of abandoned this. Sure, music is still seen, and it can be important in the game, but it's not on the same level that it used to be, which is a bit sad. However, they still added a small Easter egg to the game that allows you to make music in the game. At first I thought it was fake, but when I tested it, I found out that it was real. If you shoot a laser at a stake, it will make a sound, and if you mess around with its length, it will make a slightly different sound. And so you can make entire songs, even ones from older games. As you can imagine, a lot of people have experimented with this, and I gotta say, it's really cool. It's one of the better Easter eggs in the game, although I still miss the music focus from the older games. Number 1. Now to end this list, we will look at one fuse you can do in the game that is beyond amazing. It's a weapon that could be used to create chaos. Sure, its damage is kind of mediocre, but the effect that it has is more than worth it, because due to it, you don't have to fight. Now the weapon I'm talking about is of course the Eightfold long muddle blade. The devilish combo that actually works. All you need is an Eightfold long blade and a muddle bud. And once you combine these, you can do some crazy stuff. Because the air slash of the weapon will actually have the same effect as the plant that's attached to it. So any enemy hit by it will attack anyone close to it. So if you use this thing at a monster camp, you can create absolute chaos in about 3 slashes, which is incredibly funny. And personally, I didn't expect that this would work, but it does. And man oh man, I am glad it does. Because unleashing this thing on a group of enemies is one of the greatest joys of life. Now these were all the myths that I wanted to cover, but they aren't the only ones. I covered over 150 in all the myth-busting videos I've done so far, so go check them out. And be sure to leave your suggestions below, because they might get featured in a video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this semi-anniversary video for the Tears of the Kingdom myth-busting videos. Some sort of grand, woo, we did 10, woo, crazy. I'm sorry. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to click the like button, the bell, subscribe, all that good stuff, and leave your ideas below. Really, I like for the people who've been watching these videos for a while now, they know I read an insane amount of comments. If there are 600 comments on a video, I will read all of them and answer basically all of them. So leave your stuff below. Really, I do read with my big eyes. My big eyes, boy! Alright, well, I'm gonna go enjoy the insanely hot weather here in the Netherlands, and I'm gonna go out boating. So, bye everybody!